Hello everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the Heroes Table. I believe it's been a little bit. I'm your host Isha, and with me I have my co-host Taluvius.
Hello.
Oh yeah, I think it's been, 2 weeks?
Yeah,
We've skipped, so... And yeah, I think we don't have a lot of front-end changes for the game, as far as I'm aware. I don't think we've had new quests in the meantime, but a lot of work has been done in the background. And yeah, as recently as last week, we got a look at the beta where they put some of the new stuff in, and it looks really good.
Yeah.
Let me just say that. I don't think we can talk too much about it. I haven't asked, but yeah, I'm very excited for it. I don't know how many systematic changes, like gameplay impacting changes there are, but I think the overall idea of the change, I think, is a very welcoming one, and that I think people will really like. Even though it might not change the game considerably just yet. But yeah, hopefully in conjunction with new stuff that is also to come, I think we'll be in a very good spot. Yeah, just a little bit of hype for the next update. I don't know when it's to be released, but since it's on beta, I think it's quite close. Usually they things don't stay on beta for long, usually. But yeah, we'll see. It looks really good, and it will. I can say as much as it will definitely be noticeably different. I think that's as much of a hint I can give. Let's play some Eternity.
Yeah.
So how are you guys doing? I see we have someone in YouTube chat for now. No one in Twitch chat for now. But hello.
We've got a few in Twitch.
Oh, my chat is... Oh, but they're not writing. Or are they writing? My chat is empty.
Oh, sorry. I just meant they were in the...
Okay. Yep.
I can see them in the...
There are viewers, but no one in the chat. Yes. Alright. Yep. Then we are aligned. I was worried for a second that my chat might have been broken. Alright, everything seems good. But yeah, we have a wavy hand in YouTube chat from Jens de Witt. Sorry if I'm butchering your name. Alright. Let me put audio on. Because I noticed on beta there's audio at least. Pretty sure there should be in this version as well. There we go, let me put up the volume a little bit. It's actually nice, the music in Eternity. It also feels like there's more choice of music, or it goes... There's generally more music in the game than there were earlier. Because I think I ended up muting the music because it was very repetitive. Because it was looping like one or two songs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the variety has increased now. At least I don't think this one I've heard before. And yeah, just you guys in the chat can just let me know if the music is too loud. It seems to be fine, as according to what I can see, but just let me know. So yeah, I don't know if there are many things Eternity related that there is to talk about. We've had a lot of other updates that are not like gameplay related from the team as well, but I think those are also still at a level where we can't talk about it publicly yet, but those are also very nice changes. So I think it's like my point is just there's a lot of work being done on the background that unfortunately we can't tell you guys about yet. But yeah, I think once we get the opportunity to like tell it, then I hope you guys will be as excited about everything as we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's been a while since we've iterated, but we are essentially in the same boat as everyone else. We don't really benefit personally from the information that we have. We are as much in this as every other player. We are not like directly developers of the game, just to be
Right.
clear. Like we are doing this voluntarily. We are not getting compensated for it either. And yeah, we don't get any benefits in the game from the positions that we have in the community. Yeah, I think most people already know that's the case, but I think it's been a while since we have officially like talked about what we actually
Yeah.
do. But yeah, we're just the faces, I guess. But we don't actually. We're not better than other people. And there are certainly people in the community that are much better even at the game than we are.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think that that definitely goes to show that there's no magic behind the scenes here. Been a long silent period. Yeah, I can see that definitely. The market has also been in a weird spot, but I guess weirdly calm spot. There was a little bit of volatility in this weekend, I think. We had a large drop, was it on Friday? And then yesterday there was a decent pump as well. So I guess we are even, probably. Something like that. But yeah, Eternity-wise, it's been quite silent. Both due to the fact that we had to cancel the 2 episodes recently, but also that there just hasn't been much outside of quality of life updates for the game publicly. But yeah, as we said, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that hopefully we will be able to disclose soon enough. I think everything just has to, like all the pieces have to fall in the right places. Yeah, I think one of the things that the team is also looking more heavily into is also increasing the community, or at least like being visible to more people. Like, yeah, I know that's something that they're looking into. And I think that's also one of those things we can't go into too much detail, but there's a plan in motion. And yeah, we'll have to see where it goes. But last I heard, it sounds pretty good. So the things that we do know they're working on that has been stated publicly by the devs are that they're currently working on mobile. And I think mobile in itself will give a lot of reach, or at least a lot of possibilities for reach. So I guess that's definitely a thing to be excited about, in my opinion at least. And then PvP as well, I think is one of the focus points right now as well. I'm pretty sure mobile is above PvP, but I think PvP is actively being worked on, as far as I understand.
Yeah.
And yeah, based on what's in beta currently, I think I'm wondering if PvP might be closer than we think. But that's all speculation on my part. I have no idea. I think we've So on many occasions when we've discussed PvP, we've always talked about balancing and how they are gonna balance the characters for PvP, considering how many different opportunities you have
Yeah.
for builds and stuff, and also like how the system is gonna work. Like, is there gonna be matchmaking, or do you like do you invite people to duels and then do it that way? Because if it's matchmaking, then I suppose they will have systems to match people in a good way. But depending on the matchmaking system, if there are no good matches, will you then just be matched with the best of the bad matches, or will you just get a message that says we can't like find a match for you currently? And I don't know which will be true. But yeah, definitely excited to see more about that. And, I don't think we've seen any specific details about PvP just yet. At least I haven't.
Yeah, I don't believe so.
But yeah, hopefully sometime soon. But yeah, I think the thing I'm probably mostly excited about at the moment is probably the mobile launch. I think that's gonna be a big game changer for the community, because we might attract more people. Probably less crypto-focused people, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I think on the contrary, I think that might be a good thing actually. Because that means that we actually have people that are there for the game. I'm pretty sure we have that as it is now. At least the people that remain, I'm pretty sure the people that are interested because of the project and not because of the potential gains of it.
Right.
Mobile as in native port or responsive website? Pretty sure it's a native port as far as I've
pretty sure.
heard.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yep, definitely. I think that's all we can say for now, but yeah, native definitely. But yeah, as I said, I see Alex is in Twitch chat. At current system, devs should scale player stats in PvP to have fair gameplay. Yeah, I can see that, but I'm just wondering if scaling alone will be enough. I imagine.
I thought we talked about there not being a differential, and like everyone was going to utilize similar stats, and then there'd be other ways to potentially buff your. Otherwise, there's no way. No one would ever be able to fight Alex. It would make sense to have a different character layout, like maybe even different. Maybe they have a different another category of equipment that's PvP equipment,
Yeah. And that leads into another suggestion that I believe I have relayed to the devs, but the idea of character sets where you can save equipment for what's it called, like presets, so that you can save and load between. But I guess that comes with its own challenges, like what happens if a preset contains an item that you no longer have because you've sold it or deleted it or something. I guess the easy way is just not have it show up, just delete it from the presets as well. But I mean, the implementation details of that might be like a challenge. I mean, it's obviously development time that they have to allocate from something else. Of the character equipment set idea, yep. Yeah, it's something I've been talking about in the past as well. I think, yeah, I think it's a really good thing as well. But I don't think it's in the game yet, at least I haven't seen it. But I'm pretty sure the devs are aware of it. I think I have spoken to one of the devs about it before. Alright, Wildy, you're gonna get fucked. Oh, maybe I'm gonna get fucked. This doesn't look good for me, at least. Good thing my monk is so buffed.
Yeah. Oy.
Still not buffed enough to get Kaboom though. Oh. I was not expecting that.
Oh. That stinks.
I don't even know what happened, but I guess the cannon ended me.
Gotcha.
Well. Alright, I guess I pushed my luck a little too much on that one. This one. Yeah, I'm wondering, you guys in the chats on the different platforms, do you guys have any suggestions that might have not been discussed before? Like something that you've noticed playing the game, like that seems like could be worth looking into at some point, like even minor things. I think any feedback is good, and I think it's in this time, like it's now is the time for the feedback to be relayed to the devs before they like lock in systems, because now it's the building phase, and it's now that the game is easy to change. I think even as soon as mobile really launches, I think it'll be more difficult to make changes to the game, because now you potentially will have a larger audience. So I think it's we have to use the small audience we have to make the changes that we need to do. That will essentially make Eternity a better experience for all the new players that we get. I think one thing that might be a challenge once we go mobile is the early game, because I don't think that we have new people coming in like on a regular enough basis that we get feedback on the early game. So I don't know how often the early game is being like reconsidered or improved. So I think that's probably something that we will have to pay attention to for mobile launch. I'm pretty sure the devs are collecting information about what players are doing in the early game, and so they can at least make decisions based on, like, do people get stuck? Do people advance too fast? Like, is it too easy? Is it too difficult? So they do get a lot of information, but the problem is if no one is playing the early game, then there's not much information to go on. So yeah, any feedback, major and minor, is probably welcome, because I mean anything could also impact the early game, and hopefully make it a better experience. But I mean some changes could also potentially damage the early game. So yeah, again, we need to play that as well. Yeah, I think that's a challenge that might be more difficult to actually get around. Because I don't know if our current characters can just go back to the early game. I think you need new characters for it to get the real early game experience. But yeah, we'll see what they find out.
Yeah,
I'm sure the devs have a plan for it, but
yeah,
nice.
And the early game changes after you've played through, so
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it might not be very obvious, but Eternity has actually been through multiple phases as well, like multiple different systems. Like we had the scaling system in the beginning, I believe, or I don't remember if it was the very beginning, but at least that we had the scaling system, and that got removed eventually. I don't remember completely why it was removed, but I think it wasn't it wasn't doing what it was supposed to do, or it was doing what it should, but it wasn't the effect that the devs wanted. I think is probably the best way to say it.
Yeah, the struggle with any like auto leveling thing is that you just don't ever feel like you're making any gains in your power, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
part of the fun is going back and just hammering, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I guess it was the feeling of progression you just didn't have because the levels are always scaled.
Yeah.
But the downside, if you can call it that, of course, to that is now it's very easy to power level characters because you can just plow through all the levels.
Yeah.
But I think that's a fine trade-off. At least I don't mind it. I don't know if other people will have something against it, but I guess it could make.
So that's a good. I'd power leveled all mine, I think, before they changed the leveling. And
yeah.
I didn't really. Once you have one character that's, you know, been through the tower for a bit, like, even then, you could go back through and hammer pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my experience as well. So I guess in the end the change is not that big. Only it's more fun now to go back and play the levels.
Yeah, I think so.
So I guess overall it's probably more of a positive change. But yeah. Because it's stuff like that we need to reassess on a recurring basis. And yeah, then there was the change to the skill system, how many skill points a character had. Like it went from getting skill points per level to basically getting rid of the skill point system that we had, and I guess simplifying it in a way. At least the what's that called? The stats for characters were simplified. Like some were combined. Some were removed, I think. And yeah, and I think the goal for that was to make the whole thing more easy to understand and maybe more streamlined towards what other games are doing, so people can take their knowledge from other role-playing games and apply it here. Alex says, I'd like to see more gameplay modes at endgame beside the Dark Tower. I don't think I've seen the suggestion for that. Alex says he suggested one some time ago. Not sure if I've seen that, but I'm sure it's in the suggestion forum. If it is, then I have seen the devs being active in both the problem and the suggestion forums. So I think they might have seen it. But yeah, I definitely agree.
It's on the back burner until the mobile stuff.
Yeah. But I definitely agree. More gameplay for endgame would be nice. And I think that will come slowly as the game progresses. Because I don't think the current end game is gonna be the end game forever, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I remember when Eternity started as a project, like before the game was even a game, like we had so many interesting discussions of how we could do things, and yeah, I would like to see some of those things actually become things.
I mean, we can talk legitimate logistics in terms of like all the end game stuff really doesn't matter if we don't get enough people to play it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, kind of the devs stopping that side of it and moving towards how do we get more people funneled into the base of the game, then maybe that gives us an opportunity to move forward on the inside of it. Because I mean, they obviously can't just build a game for 5 players forever. I mean, we need, it's not to be facetious or silly.
Yeah, but it's a good point. Like at some point they will have to turn a profit, I guess, as well. Like if we look at the financial part, like it's just not sustainable to have a game that only very few people play. Like they are lucky to be in a position where they have the funds to support the development, but I guess like no one has infinite money. Eventually there has to be something.
Yeah.
So I mean it makes sense that we focus on how can we actually also make Eternity sustainable. But I also know for a fact that both we, as the door between the community and the developers, and the community and the devs, are all interested in not compromising the game for profits. And it's something that we are very actively discussing about, how to monetize games, like mobile games, without it becoming the annoying mobile game experience. Like I'm sure people that play mobile games know what I'm talking about, but that's where we don't want to be. But obviously, there will be compromises that can't be avoided. But yeah, I definitely want to go away from many of the what we call the predatory things that mobile games have. It's at least one of the things that I would fight a lot to avoid. Yeah, I think generally it's fine to especially free games. I think it's oh yeah, that's another thing we haven't talked about for a while. The whole actually, have we talked about that? I think we have, right?
We've talked a little bit. I mean, it's tied in with the mobile.
No, that's true. Yeah. But yeah, with the whole free-to-play part of it, I think it makes sense that a game is monetized differently. But yeah, again, as long as it's not predatory. I very strongly dislike predatory monetization of mobile games, just because it's easy to trick people into clicking buttons. Or abusing people's emotions, I guess, is another way. So definitely don't want to be... I don't want Eternity to turn into that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the devs don't want that either. But yeah. I think our interests are very aligned in that sense. But yeah, I think big movements are probably going to happen after mobile launch.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess depending on how quickly the community is growing, because I think it might also be a problem if the community is growing too fast. So I think we definitely need to be prepared for it, and probably also have some not necessarily backup plans, but at least how do we handle certain things that we might not want to have happen. Considering growth and yeah, I guess that's it actually. I'm noticing I only get one Archangel now.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happened.
They had to taken effect that you were getting 3 for so long that now you only get 1 for a while until it evens out.
Yeah, that might be the case. But I'm getting 2 if I have none, but I'm not getting a new one if I have one already, it seems. Like I've not paid too much attention to it, I just noticed it, I think, last game and this game. So I still have to do a little bit more looking. But yeah, that's sweet. But maybe it's a punishment. Okay, let's see. If I use this, I get my 2 as I expected. Let's see if I can get that while only having 1. Okay. But yeah, to go back on the whole like gameplay modes, I guess the things are so old that I guess we can talk a little bit about some of the things we talked back, like way back when the project was not even a game, because we had like many plans of how to integrate different things into the game and actually gamifying those. I think that was back when Eternity was still a game, but it also integrated with, I think the idea back then was to integrate some DeFi stuff into the game as well, and kind of gamifying those. So it would not only be a game, but it would also be a gamification of some popular DeFi things. Like, obviously the DeFi space has changed a million times since then.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a good thing that we never got to that point. I remember one of the things we were talking about was to have this like whole separated like kind of gameplay where you would have, I don't remember if we had like mines or something, I think it was, which was essentially yield farms or the equivalent of yield farms, where you would basically use that but for in-game purchases, and then you would have like trading routes. I think we had as well, where our idea was you could stake stuff, and then that would be like protection for trade routes, and you might be able to either bandits could raid your trade routes or other players maybe even, but it would all be like based on this whole mining thing. I don't remember the details specifically of everything, but I remember we all thought it was a good idea at the time. Maybe less so the devs, I'm not sure what their take on it was, but we had fun discussing it at least. And I think we kind of saw we saw it a little bit with the bank, with how we had like the swap was built into the bank. I don't know what the fate of that is gonna be, if we're gonna keep having that. I think legally it's probably not viable to have it, like because of lacking regulation. I don't think we want Eternity to turn into an exchange and then be regulated as an exchange. So I could definitely see that being taken out eventually, for legal reasons. I don't know if it would be considered it, because technically it's not Eternity run exchange, it's just routing through a different exchange. But I don't know if the law would see it the same way. Mostly because we don't, like, there are no laws apparently at the moment. Or at least not enough to make
Nobody knows what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be a thing that I could see, like the whole idea of mixing DeFi stuff into Eternity is probably gonna die the same way that kind of stuff would probably not be viable. Like the bank would probably not be viable in the long term because of lacking regulation. Maybe when there's more regulation, it will be more fun to investigate options like that, to see if you can like gamify some stuff that fits with the lore of the game, but also can be like fun side gigs that might like not only make people participate in like economy stuff, like DeFi, decentralized economy stuff or finance, but also may earn the developers a bit more, or the whole ecosystem a bit in fees, maybe if it's managed with the fee system, which follows the same tokenomics as the rest of Eternity does, and then might be an extra source of revenue for Eternity as a project. But yeah, I think that's if that's gonna happen, it's gonna be like way future stuff. Probably also definitely after some regulatory framework has been has been put in place, so you can actually do it without it being a legal gray area.
Yeah, I think that's holding a lot of things back.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the annoying things, because yeah, I don't know why. Well, if I put my tinfoil hat, I probably know, but it's weird that they are trying to stop innovation so much by not like just answering people's questions.
Yeah.
Here I'm mainly referring to the lawsuit currently going on between the SEC and Coinbase. Actually, I think there are multiple at this point. But basically, Coinbase's inquiry about like the questions that they sent that the SEC should answer, that the SEC was like, we need more time to answer that. It feels like the SEC is just stalling, and I mean that is probably the case. Either that, or they just like they really don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, that's probably it.
It might be. I guess I am the more forgiving person and giving them the benefit of the doubt, but I don't know if that's a good thing, because that just suggests that they are stalling on purpose. Like they have other plans that they are using this opportunity to like hold it back. So
Yeah.
I don't know if incompetence would actually be better in this case. I really don't know. I think everyone can agree that whatever they're doing is definitely weird.
Yeah. My tinfoil hat tells me that there's too many people who are friends with too many people who have their hands in this, and that if they make one rule, then all of those people could be susceptible to it. So they have to make sure that they figure out how to make sure all of their buddies aren't going to get hammered prior to making all of the laws, official. That's what I think.
I mean, it makes sense, honestly, if you look in like basically just human history, I guess. But yeah, I guess that it's also a bit scary to think about, because that also would suggest that I guess institutions have way more say than people probably would like institutions to have.
They always have.
Yeah, I also think it's naive to think that the free market is as free as some might be inclined to say that it is. Yeah, I think it's definitely a difficult area. And especially in finance, it always feels like there's at least someone smarter than yourself. Oh, wow, okay. I got wrecked on this one. I think the only unfortunate thing is also how much, like, it's surprising to me how obvious it is that like institutions are holding the hands over each other or protecting each other, and how little people care that's the case. Like, I don't know if people just don't see it, but like just with if we look at traditional finance, like just the example with like GameStop, it was so obviously manipulation, like by the exchanges as well. Like, I guess you could argue that the individuals were also manipulating the market, but the exchanges were definitely doing that as well when they just stopped the trading. Like, how free is the market if the exchanges can just be allowed to pause the market because it's moving in a way that they don't like?
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, in a way you're taking a risk, but then the exchanges are just dialing that risk a little bit away from you, like as a big corporation, because now it's getting dangerous for the big corporation and we can't have that, so we better like protect them. And then I guess like it's fine if the individual trader is getting more of that risk, because I guess fuck the individual traders.
Yes.
But I'm just surprised that there wasn't more consequence for it. But I guess that also goes to show that the people who make the consequences are also the people in power, which means, I guess, institutions are the power. But I guess that's my tinfoil hat talking.
That's how I think all looks real, rational thinking. But self-interest rules a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of it is probably just about control.
Yeah.
And I guess there's some legitimacy to it as well. Like, I guess some regulation will be needed, because like that, I guess that makes sense to me. But it's just like, it just has to be done in a way that doesn't just benefit some, but has a broad benefit to like where we actually want to be with it. Like, allow for innovation to happen instead of like prematurely just like taking it away.
Yeah.
So Alex is asking, what about the story part of the game? At some point, game would need to connect characters and bosses with the game world to solidify player experience. So there actually is a lot of lore to the game, and we know that because we've participated in writing some of it.
We built it.
Yeah. So it definitely exists.
It hasn't been implemented in the game structure.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's still needing to be in the game, but it like considerations have been made as to the lore for the game and how the different things, like how did we get here? How did we get to where Eternity is? And I think some of our earlier streams, which might not be available anymore, maybe some people can be lucky enough to find it on YouTube, at least parts of it. But we were actually discussing the lore behind the characters that were existing at the time. I don't think the newer characters that come after, I don't know, do we have any characters that have come after that doesn't have lore? Because I know we had lore for some of the unreleased characters as well.
Magician doesn't have any lore.
No. But I think that's the only one.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure we've talked about pretty much everyone else.
Yeah, I think so.
So I guess the lore would be a bit outdated probably, but I think the overall lore of the game, like the world itself, still fits. I think maybe with the upcoming changes we might have to revisit some parts of it, because I'm not sure if it's if the lore is compatible with some of the changes that they've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know off the top of my head if that's the case. I don't think it would require major changes for it to make it fit. Without actually like and it wouldn't impact the major parts, like the important parts of the lore.
Yeah, I don't think it would.
But yeah, I think it would be very cool to see it reflected in the game as well. And And I don't know exactly what the plans for that is. I think right now it's focusing on building the game. And then sorting that out later. I think we also need to first figure out how we want progression to be in the game. Like, I don't think it will come as any surprise that the current way of doing quests and starting quests is not really, at least not the way that I see it going forward, like in the final version of the game, because it's a bit trivial. But I don't know exactly what the devs are planning to do with it, but I would definitely like to have some more, I guess, gameplay about it, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense.
Sure.
Like, it could be cutscenes explaining, like, okay, we found this, like, we were trying to do this, but then this happened, and now we are in a battle, and we have to beat this battle. And then, like, it could be a cutscene. It could also be something else entirely. But yeah, anything that's more than just clicking a button and clicking a start quest button would be nice.
Yeah. Kind of takes away from the immersion, the story immersion.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Something a bit more immersive is it's definitely a spot where I would be happy to go. But when that is gonna happen, I don't know. I do believe we have had some discussions about both suggestions by the developers themselves. I think they have proposed some systems, and I know we have also been discussing with the devs some systems that we could use.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really just up to like research and development to find out which system is the most robust, considering we also have to support mobile. I think that's gonna be the limiting factor. Like how much can we push what we are doing? And of course, the fact that it's played in a browser will also matter. Especially, my understanding is that iOS is being very problematic with its limitations for what you can do both in the browser, but probably also as a native iOS app. Not sure, I haven't developed for iOS myself, but pretty much everyone I've talked to that has worked with iOS has said it's not very friendly, let's just put it that way. So if there are any limitations, I am sure that would probably stem from the fact that it's browser-based and mobile-based, which is unfortunate that it's going to be limiting it, but I think it probably won't be the worst for a game like Eternity, which is like a simple game by design, or maybe simple is the wrong. It's not technically simple, but it's like, I guess, aesthetically simple. If that makes any kind of sense. And I lost my train of thought because I was focusing a little bit on the battle. But yeah, I'm hoping that something can be done, and I'm sure the devs will be choosing what they think is best, and it's up to us to give feedback when they decide to go somewhere and say, well, that might have been a little bit of a misstep there. And then like feedback on how we can improve it, or maybe they hit it spot on in the first try, and then we'll just have to make sure to tell them that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And this one I only got one Archangel. I'll definitely have to look more into that. But yeah, I think that would probably take care of the lore part of it as well. Not only would it make it more immersive, but it would also give the devs a way to actually implement the lore into the world. And I think in a way it would also give some of the the stuff outside of quests a purpose, because we would be able to argue for its existence. Like why does the Dark Tower exist? What's the purpose of it? And likewise for the mines, and obviously the mines exist because you need resources to forge stuff, but why do you need to forge stuff? Like all these questions. So I think that there's a lot we can still do in the immersiveness of the game. It is very much a skeleton of a game that we have. A very pretty looking skeleton, but still a skeleton. And yeah, I'm hoping to, of course, involve the community as much as possible along the way. We've already had the boss event where the community came together to make a boss, and hopefully we can have much more of that when it becomes relevant, when there's less technical stuff behind the scenes going on and more like front-end development in air quotes. Yeah. Then it will make more sense to involve the community in shaping everything. And yeah, I think even specific lore things would also make sense. Like, I guess we could consider it kind of a draft, because I mean it can always be changed. But at some point it might be worth it to take the discussion to the whole community. So instead of it just being the few of us looking into it, we can say, hey, this is our ideas, and then here you go, knock yourselves out. Pick it apart, add to it, ask questions. Of course, if there are some surprises, then I guess we would want to be just a little bit secretive about that, so we don't spoil everything. But yeah, I think a lot of stuff is basically waiting on the technical things. And yeah, it's probably it's as boring for us than it is for everyone else that we have to wait for it, but unfortunately that is game development. But usually for many projects, once you have the backend stuff sorted out, making front-end stuff is actually going to be very rapid. And I think we actually saw that quite early with Eternity as well. Once the base of the game was done, they were actually able to push out updates very fast. And I think we might see that pattern again, because what they essentially, or my understanding is what they essentially did was, back then, they made the game, they made all the interactions that they needed. Now they had a game engine, start building the game on top of that. Went pretty fast to build the game once you had the engine. They kept adding new stuff. That stuff eventually became it wasn't enough. They needed more stuff. Big demand for mobile became a thing. So I think mobile essentially was not as highly prioritized as it is today, and I think that's because the community was requesting it. Because it was one of the most requested things in the beginning, already from the beginning. I don't know if you remember Taluvias, but it was pretty much mentioned every day back then.
Yeah.
And we did manage to hack around it, some of us at least. I did manage to get it working on my phone, but of course it was not a very friendly experience to do so. And yeah, I think the more demand that we saw for it, the more and more the devs also realize the benefits of having a mobile version, and I think like that ultimately is the result that we're gonna see soon when the mobile version comes out. I don't actually. I think we had mobile on the original roadmap as well, but I think it was like one of the very last points.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's the case anymore. Like obviously that roadmap is way outdated now. There are things that no longer make sense, and there are things that are implemented differently than originally reflected from the roadmap. And I think maybe it would make sense to revise some kind of roadmap, but I don't know if the development is still too volatile at the moment to really establish a good roadmap that would actually give a picture of what's being, or what the goals are. What we have been doing is just give updates in the form of basically a list of, here's a list of things that we are working on at the moment, and we'll just have to see what happens first, I guess. Sometimes it's been prioritized, sometimes it's been more of we are working on all these things at the same time and we don't really know what's gonna happen first, but these are the things. And some things might be like technically complete but still lacking art, and sometimes the opposite. Sometimes they have like a lot of assets ready to go, but they're just lacking the foundation for it. But yeah, to recap, I think the major things they are focusing on now is the mobile launch, which will complement free-to-play launch. And I don't remember how many details of the free-to-play version has been released yet, and I don't actually know what their final stance on it is. I think they are still iterating on that, still figuring out what the best way to do it. But my understanding is that it will be another tier on top of the existing system. So it's not just gonna be now the game is free to play, but people already paid money for it. That's too bad. Like I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a system alongside the paid version. So you will still be able to buy characters the same way that it's always been. So you could kind of call it a separate game in a way, but it's the same game. Yeah, and because launching a paid game on mobile, I think is gonna be less of a success than launching a free-to-play game. And I think the move to free-to-play is also gonna increase our reach, not only in mobile but also outside of mobile. Was there anything else? Oh yeah, PvP of course. Don't know how much we have to talk about that. I mean, PvP will also increase the replayability of the game, I guess, because right now you have a lot of PvE stuff, but I think PvP can be a real challenge, both for players and developers alike. Because now you are not fighting some AI that might have patterns. Now you're actually fighting a person that can make real-time reactions. But yeah, we'll have to see how far the PvP gameplay can go. I think in the beginning it's probably just gonna be a duel-like system where you just have one or more battles. But I imagine in the future it could be like tournament-based, which is just an extension of the duel-based, and then like maybe you could have like full-on PvP, like separate gameplay that is just PvP, like a different section of the game that's like purely PvP. I don't know. Depends how far the devs will go with it. Maybe you can have different factions and you can fight each other over control. Who knows? Okay. But yeah, I see we've reached time for this episode. So if there are no further comments or ending comments, then I think we will begin to wrap up. Yeah, I think we had some interesting discussions, and yeah, definitely some good questions.
Yeah, very good.
All right. Thank you for the content. Well, thank you for watching, and yeah, thank you for playing the game and hanging around in the community. We really appreciate it.
Yes.
And yeah, if you're new here, also welcome. Be sure to join our Discord, so you can participate in everything. Give us feedback on your experience so far, and what you would like to experience in the future. All right. Well, thank you guys for coming by, and I hope you guys enjoyed the discussions as well. And hope to see you guys again in the next one. Bye bye.
See ya.